You think you're alone right now. Think again. At this very moment, as your eyes scan these words, something is watching you. It's not a camera. It's worse. It's an eye that you yourself feed, train, and strengthen every single day. Michel Foucault tried to warn us almost 50 years ago, but we were too busy posting selfies to listen. Visibility is a trap, he said, and you fell for it. Voluntarily, with a smile on your face. You know that feeling that someone's watching you, even when you're completely alone at home. It's not paranoia, it's the new normal. You live in a prison without bars, where the guards are algorithms and the cells are your own digital choices. Every click, every pause, every time your thumb hesitates over a photo before hitting like, all of it is recorded, analyzed, categorized. You're no longer a person. You're a set of behavioral data waiting to be monetized. The most disturbing part, you know this, everyone knows, and yet you continue. Why? Because Foucault was right about something even more terrifying. We've become our own jailers. Power no longer needs to watch us, we do it for them. We post our location, our thoughts, our most intimate desires. We've turned our lives into a permanent spectacle, an endless performance where we're simultaneously the actor, the director, and the audience. If this bothers you, good. It should. Because while you're watching this video, your data is being collected, your attention is being measured, your engagement is being quantified, and the most ironic part? You'll probably like, comment, and share, feeding even more the machine that turns you into a product. But don't leave yet. Stay with me until the end. Subscribe if you have the courage to face what Foucault really meant. Because the truth about your privacy is even worse than you imagine. They told you privacy was about closing your curtains and locking your doors. They lied. Privacy was never about keeping others out. It was about keeping yourself in. Think about it. When was the last time you did something without documenting it? When did you last have a thought you didn't feel compelled to tweet? You've been trained like a circus animal, performing tricks for likes and validation. But here's what they didn't tell you. The cage was never locked. You just forgot how to stop performing. Remember when your parents warned you about talking to strangers? Now you broadcast your entire life to millions of them. You wake up and immediately check how many people watched your story. You eat a meal, and your first instinct is to photograph it. You feel an emotion and instantly translate it into a status update. This isn't living. It's existing as a character in someone else's profit model. You've become the star of a show you never auditioned for, in a theater where the exit signs have been removed. The genius of this system is that it doesn't feel like oppression. It feels like freedom. Express yourself, they say. Be authentic. Share your truth. But every expression is catalogued. Every authentic moment is commodified. Every truth you share becomes another data point in an algorithm designed to predict and control your behavior. You're not expressing yourself. You're programming yourself. Teaching the machine exactly which buttons to push to keep you scrolling, buying, conforming, and the sickest part, you pay for the privilege. You buy the devices that track you, you subscribe to the services that analyze you. You literally fund your own surveillance. Your parents' generation feared Big Brother. You invited him in, gave him a spare key, and asked him to remember your birthday. The dictatorship Orwell imagined required force. The one you live in runs on your voluntary participation. Every time you click, "I agree," without reading the terms, you're signing away another piece of your autonomy. But you already knew that, didn't you? You just chose to forget. Look at yourself right now. No, really look, not at your reflection in the black screen, but at the invisible chains you've wrapped around your own wrists. You can't see them, but you feel their weight every time you reach for your phone, before your feet hit the floor in the morning. Every time you feel phantom vibrations in your pocket. Every time you panic when you can't find your device. You're not addicted to technology. You're addicted to being watched. You're addicted to the gaze. Foucault called it the panopticon, a prison designed so perfectly that prisoners would behave even when no guard was watching, because they could never be sure when they were being observed. But Foucault was thinking too small. He imagined a building. What we built is so much worse. We built a panopticon that fits in your pocket, that you carry everywhere, that you check 200 times a day. The guard tower isn't in the center of the prison. It's in your hand. And you're both the prisoner and the guard. Think about how you act differently when you know you're being recorded. Now realize you're always being recorded. Your phone tracks your location. Your smart TV listens to your conversations. Your fitness tracker monitors your heart rate. Your car knows where you've been. Your credit card knows what you buy. Your search history knows what you desire. And all of this data doesn't just disappear. It builds a profile of you more accurate than you could ever create yourself. A digital ghost that knows you better than you know yourself. The real horror isn't that they're watching. It's that you've started watching yourself through their eyes. You've internalized the surveillance. You self-censor before you speak. You curate before you post. You perform even when you're alone, because you're never really alone anymore. You've become a character in your own life, constantly editing, constantly performing, constantly afraid that the real you might slip through. But here's the thing about the real you. It's been so long since you let it breathe, you're not even sure it still exists. The soul is the prison of the body, Foucault wrote in Discipline and Punish. But he was describing a different era, when power worked through physical punishment and spectacular displays of force. What would he say about our age, where the soul has become the product and the body merely its delivery system? We don't need public executions anymore. We have public humiliation through screenshots. We don't need iron chains. We have golden handcuffs made of social media metrics and professional networks you can't afford to leave. In the history of sexuality, Foucault revealed how power shapes our most intimate experiences, how it creeps into our bedrooms and our minds, making us confess our desires not to priests, but to profiles. Today, you don't just confess, you broadcast. Every preference, every kink, every secret thought becomes content. The confession booth has been replaced by the comment section. The priest has been replaced by the algorithm. And absolution? That comes in the form of engagement metrics. You think you're rebelling when you post that controversial opinion. You think you're being authentic when you share that vulnerable moment. But you're just feeding the beast. Every act of supposed resistance gets absorbed, packaged, and sold back to you as a lifestyle choice. Your rebellion becomes a market segment. Your authenticity becomes a brand. Your vulnerability becomes content that trains the algorithm to exploit others just like you. There is no outside of this system. There's only deeper integration. But Foucault also taught us something crucial. Where there is power, there is resistance. Not the fake resistance of posting angry comments or switching platforms. Real resistance. The kind that starts when you understand that privacy isn't about hiding. It's about having a self that exists outside the gaze of others. It's about having thoughts that remain unmonetized, experiences that remain undocumented, relationships that exist without digital mediation. It's about remembering that you existed before you were a user, and you can exist again. So here you are, caught between two versions of yourself. There's the you that exists in databases, predictable, quantifiable, profitable, and there's the you reading this, feeling that uncomfortable twitch of recognition. That second you, the one that's starting to wake up, that's the one they're really afraid of. Because that you might do something truly dangerous, you might stop performing. Imagine just for a moment what that would look like. A day without documenting, a thought without tweeting, a feeling without filtering. It's terrifying, isn't it? That's how deep the conditioning goes. You've been trained to see your undocumented life as worthless, your unshared thoughts as pointless, your offline existence as somehow less real. But that terror you feel, that's not your feeling, that's their programming. That's the guard tower in your mind, making sure you stay in line even when no one's watching. The hardest truth Foucault left us with is this: liberation isn't about destroying the system. It's about understanding how the system has shaped you and choosing to reshape yourself. Every time you reach for your phone, you have a choice. Every time you feel the urge to share, you have a choice. Every time you start performing instead of living, you have a choice. But choice requires consciousness, and consciousness requires discomfort. It requires admitting that you've been complicit in your own surveillance. You want to know what real privacy looks like? It's not about VPNs or encrypted messages or anonymous browsers. Those are just tools that make you feel like you're resisting while keeping you plugged into the same system. Real privacy is psychological. It's the ability to have an inner life that isn't constantly leaking into the feeds. It's the strength to let moments pass without capturing them. It's the courage to be nobody when everyone else is desperately trying to be somebody. It's remembering that before you were a profile, before you were data, before you were content, you were human. Foucault died in 1984, the same year Orwell made famous. He never saw the internet, never held a smartphone, never posted a selfie. But he saw it all coming. He understood that the most effective prison is the one you build yourself, bar by bar, post by post, like by like. He knew that power in the modern age wouldn't announce itself with jackboots and megaphones. It would whisper sweet promises of connection, community, and convenience. It would make you love your chains, but knowing isn't enough. Understanding the trap doesn't free you from it. Freedom comes from action, and action requires something we've almost forgotten how to do: disconnect. Not forever, not completely, but consciously, deliberately. Like a prisoner who's discovered the door was never locked, you have to remember how to walk through it. You have to remember what it feels like to exist without an audience. You have to reclaim the parts of yourself that were never meant to be public property. This is your choice, right now, in this moment. You can close this video and go back to scrolling, back to performing, back to feeding the machine that turns your life into profit. Or you can do something radical. You can start small, put your phone in another room while you sleep. Have a conversation without Instagramming it. Feel something without tweeting it. Think something without sharing it. Remember what it's like to be alone with yourself, truly alone, without the invisible audience you've been performing for. If this video disturbed something deep inside you, good. That discomfort is your humanity trying to break free. Don't let it fade. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, not for the metrics, but because they deserve to know what's been done to them. Subscribe not because I told you to, but because you're ready to question everything you've been told about connection, privacy, and what it means to be human in a world that wants to turn you into data. The panopticon only works if you keep looking at it. What happens when you finally look away? There's only one way to find out. The door is open. It always has been. The question is, are you brave enough to walk through it?